You may be seated. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Brady. I'm Bishop of the Chubbuquet Ward. We're humbled to have the honor of participating in this solemn and sacred memorial service for Kenneth, born January 11th, 1966, passed away September 9th, 2024. Held Saturday, September 21st, 2024. We were just pleased to hear Amazing Grace service our opening hymn. And we'll now have Brother Kurt Layton on the invocation.
Our kind Father in heaven, we gather this day in remembrance to celebrate the life of thy son, Ken. We pray that thy Spirit will be with us, and with those who will be speaking, and those who will be sharing. We ask you to please be with us. All those who stand in need of comfort, comfort them and hold them in the whole of thy hand. Help us to remember all the good that Kenneth brought into our lives and the fun times we had with them. We ask this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. I will announce the program to a certain point as follows. I should mention, as you can see on your program, that the casket bearers listed are Alex and Nicholas, our sons, to Ken and brothers Don, Kurt, Floyd, and Travis. We did just a few moments ago in the side room over here have a family prayer that was offered by Brother Nathan Hauser. We'll invite in just a moment here up to offer the life sketch, Jen Layton, after which will be favored here a musical number, Dust in the Wind, an arrangement of that favorite song. That will be presented by Rhonda Hauser, Jen Layton, and Tobin Layton. After which we invite any siblings to Ken who would like to come up and just share some memories, and then we will proceed to that point. Jen Layton, please.
Kenneth Layton was born to Claire and John Layton on January 11th, 1966 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. He spent his childhood years in Ammon, spending much of his time with cousins and family. Family get-togethers with extended family was very common. More Sundays than not, Claire and Joan would throw all the kids in the car and drive to an aunt and uncle's house where they would visit and play. They had lots of family homemade meals, lots of shenanigans, and just enjoyed being together. When Ken was about 9, his family relocated to Pocatello. At that time, he became very involved with the Boy Scouts. He earned his Arrow of Light and later went on to become a part of the Order of the Arrow. And his family was proud to go to scout camp to see him inducted into that. As very interested in bodybuilding, and I'm sure someone watched that slideshow and saw some of his power. Worked very hard in that area. Not only did he excel in this, but he encouraged his brothers and others to get involved as well. While in high school, Kenneth started working at Smith's Food and Drug. He worked for them for many years, starting in Pocatello, a little bit in Shepherd, then in Idaho Falls, Smithville, Fergus City, and Logan. He had many positions with them, working in produce for quite some time. Ken started playing the trumpet in junior high and continued playing through high school. He truly excelled with the trumpet, participating in the regular band as well as the marching band. He won many awards for his talent. The medals that hung in his room inspired some of his brothers to also play. That trumpet that he played has been special to many members of the family. His brothers played it, and even now it's been fixed up, so some of his nephews can continue to play it. Ken graduated from Highland High School, and he moved to Smithfield around 1991. In 1993, he met Cynthia Cousins. They married and were blessed with 2 incredible boys. Alex was born in June of 1995, and Nick was born in August of 1998. Ken and Cindy both adored these boys and were caring and devoted parents to them. I came into the family right about the time that Alex was born and had fond memories of watching Ken and Cindy love their boys. And I fell in love with them too. After Cindy's unfortunate death, Ken took on the role of providing for and raising his 2 boys. This was a big undertaking, but Ken worked hard to make sure they were cared for and loved. They have great memories of going fishing with him often and truly loved doing that with them. Over time, Ken worked numerous jobs. While working at Smith's in the late 90s, he was also a mortgage broker. He worked at ConAgra doing quality assurance for the flavorings department from 2004 to 2011. And they closed the plant just before his first heart attack in 2011. He had a few other odd jobs before he settled into Citivia, and I'm sorry if I said that wrong, you guys, in Logan, where he worked since 2017. I was very touched by how many coworkers came to his viewing last night. They all talked about how much fun he was to work with and how quiet the break room is now. They will all miss him very much. Kenneth was many things in his life. As the firstborn, his parents adored him and were happy to see him every chance they got. He was a father, brother, cousin, and friend. He was kind and genuine. He loved to joke around, especially if the joke was on you. And even when he had to tell you you were an idiot, he did it with a smile and a sparkle in his eye. Ken had his struggles in life, as we all do, but he was very authentic, and you always knew that he loved you. I am very grateful that I had the opportunity to know Ken and feel his kindness for the last 29 years. He will be deeply missed.
Not singing. I just wanted to say, so this song, when we were trying to figure out a musical number, there's only so many songs that Kenneth liked that are appropriate for this in church. But back when I was single, Kenneth took up the violin and fiddle, right? And I remember going down and he and I would play this song together. He really liked this song on the violin. In fact, the music I have still has his fingerings written into the violin. So that's why we're playing Justin Winter. Yes, I'm first. For those that don't know, there's a few of us. I'm Kenneth's youngest sister. So there's 12 and a half years between Kenneth and I. So I don't have a lot of memories of Kenneth when I was young. He was out of the house soon, like, but I do remember him coming and visiting, and I remember him driving this car with a suicide handle. He thought that was great. And going and visiting him. I do remember that Kenneth was always kind to me. My other brothers made fun of me. I don't ever remember Kenneth making fun of me. But in the last few years, well, I have memories of going down and visiting Kenneth when Alex and Nick were young, and I would babysit Alex and Nick a little bit for him. I'm teasing him, and we, over the last few years, I've made a point to go down and visit him, I usually in Logan. Anyway, he was always happy to see us. And I take my kids with me. I remember a few years back, he was really excited that we were coming down and he wanted to buy us dinner, so we bought pizza. And he had called me up and he said, "Can you pick it up?" And I said, "Yeah, I can pick it up when we go see you." And then he called me and said, "They won't take my card over the phone when you pay for it, and I'll pay it back." And I said, "Sure." I went, it was almost $100. I don't know where he got, I mean, and I went back and I never said, "Kenneth, where's my $2? And he never paid me back, and I was like, "Well played, Kenneth, well played." I don't think he meant to, but. And last year, when I saw him, he was so excited, and I remember him asking, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Oh, you know, I want some peaches." And he went to a roadside stand and he bought me peaches, and he stopped at Cobb's Honey and he bought me some pickled garlic, because he said, "This looked cool, I thought you'd like it, you're always giving me stuff, right?" And so, and then I remember I would give him, especially after he bought his house, I would give him canned goods, right? I would, like, I pickled peppers and stuff, and I'd give to him thinking he'd enjoy it, and I'd go down and it would be sitting on the back of the stove, right? And he hadn't eaten them. He ate some stuff, but he hadn't eaten them. And then he would call me, and I was like, "Kenneth," and we'd talk on the phone, because he'd call me every once in a while, and he would tell me, he would say, "You know, I don't eat those." And I was like, "Why not? I gave you to me." And he's like, "Because the ladies like it when they come over and they see that." And I said, "So I'm aiding and abetting in your debauchery?" He thought it was great. I don't know if the ladies really came over. I think he was just telling me stories. He gave the best hugs. He always gave me tight hugs. And I love Kenneth. So I want to say something. There's two things that I read in the talk. It said, "Mourning is one of the deepest expressions of pure love. And the only way to take sorrow out of death is to take love out of life." Kenneth loved everyone. I don't know if there was anyone that he didn't love. You may not know, you know, everyone keeps saying you would always tell if you're an idiot. He never told me I was an idiot, so I'm an idiot. At least not that I remember. But I love Kenneth, and he was a great brother.
Ken is about 9 years older than me, so I had the unique experience of having him babysit us, sometimes terrorize us and tease us. I am one of the ones that he called an idiot. One of the ones he called a waterhead, and many other choice names that Ken would come up with. So most of us know Ken because of the fun-loving individual that he was, and as I was thinking about stories to tell about him, a few came to mind, and this one's obscure, and why it just popped into my mind, I don't know. Ken loved his aunts and uncles, and he especially enjoyed our cousin Evelyn. And in fact, when Evelyn's kids were young, Kenneth, for some reason, Evelyn thought it was a good idea to have him babysit. So Kevin, Clint, and Craig, they're fun-loving as well. And they also like to mess with Kenneth, which, as those of you know, it was fairly easy to mess with Kenneth. So they were messing with them, and Kenneth was trying to get them in off the trampoline because Evelyn wanted them to go to bed at a decent hour. And they were just mocking Kenneth, and they were running around the track, and he was running after him, trying to catch him. It just wasn't working. Well, I don't know where they got it from, but they had a couple of 6-foot-long rubber snakes. And Ken, you could push him so far, and then he'd get really, really frustrated, and he'd do stuff that he later thought, well, that wasn't really the brightest idea in the world. He told the story of one time where they were running around the trap, he was trying to get him in, and he picked up these rubber snakes, and he started whipping at them. And I can't remember, I think it was Kevin that he caught right underneath the butt cheek, and it ripped out a chunk of flesh, I mean like a chunk. And Kenneth about freaked out, and I see Craig back there going, Clint going, yep. And so Kenneth tried to doctor Kevin up as best as possible before Evelyn got home and beat him for hurting her children. That's just kind of the way he was, and his joking and teasing came out in his kids. Well, I'll go to another story. He always told me, and I still deny this, I don't think it was me, but he swears it was me. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, Kenneth grew his hair long to cover his ears. And he did so specifically because he got his ear pierced. And if you knew my dad, you knew that that was not okay and not kosher at all. Well, Teresa and Wendy were in cahoots because they knew about it and they weren't saying anything. And Ken blames me one day walking by, or Kenneth was walking by, Dad and Mom were in the room, and I'm like, hey Ken, what's that in your ear? And he about come unglued. There was also another time I was outside playing when I was younger, and I saw a bear in the bushes in front of our house. And I went in and told them, like, hey guys, there's a bear out there. And Ken's like, shut up. And he ran outside and grabbed it and hit it. So that story leads into his kids have his sense of humor. There was another story, I think Alex was early teens. I don't know the exact age. And Alex liked to give everybody grief, especially Kenneth and his mom, Cindy. One day, he was driving in the car with Cindy, and he was lipping off to her, teasing her, stuff like that. She was getting really, really frustrated with them, you know, as moms do with kids. And I'm sure Alex can give you the full story. I'm just going to hit the highlights. But as they pulled up into where they were living, she got really mad at him, and she got out, and he jumped out, and she was chasing around the car, and she got mad and was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? And he says, I don't know, poor genetic material. And Kenneth heard it, and he just busted up laughing. He thought it was funny. From what I was told, Cindy came unglued. It's like, what? Did you just hear what he said? What are you gonna do about it? And Ken's like, no, he's not wrong. So that's the fun Kenneth that we know. And each of us siblings, I think, had our own unique relationship with our brother. He was an incredible older brother. I think he took the time to spend with each of us to let us know that he cared about us. He loved when we came over, he loved hanging out with us. My favorite memory of him, when I was little, I had a problem wetting the beds. Some of my brothers are understanding what that is now as they're getting a little bit older. Anyways, we had this old brown chair. This thing was huge to me as a 5 to 6 year old. I remember waking up in this chair crying, and Ken was there just kind of, hey, wake up. And finally got awake, and he was like, what's going on? And I was crying, and I had no idea. He's like, well, let's get back to bed. Took me back into the green room where our bed was, and he felt, and I wet the bed, and so he's like, all right, well, you can't sleep here. So he helped me get changed, into some fresh clothes. And to give you a little bit of backstory, our mom loved to make us blankets. I think some of us still have several blankets that she had. Back then, in the early part of our lives, she made us animal blankets. They were kind of snowman type shape, but each of us got an animal made out of a blanket. Mine was a bear, Kenneth's was an elephant. And so knowing that, and most of us cherish these throughout growing up. I wish I had my bear, but I don't know where it's at. He took me downstairs to his room where he was, and he made me a bed on the floor out of this. He loved this blanket, his favorite blanket, and he fed me peanut M&Ms until I fell asleep. That's the kind of individual Kenneth was. Very kind, loving, and caring. He loved to tease, loved to joke, and he had no problem telling you what he thought of you, especially if you frustrated him. I'm gonna miss him, but I'm grateful that I had him as an older brother to help me out throughout my life. And I say that in Jesus Christ.
Spread a little harder than I thought it was gonna be. From like so many stories of Kenneth, but when you sit down trying to think of them, like just it's getting over it. It's a good thing you can't remember. And you've heard it, and everybody here knows Kenneth Lovin, and his personality is who he was. His joking, his kidding. If he could get your goat, he would. With laughter, jokes, or just spinning stories. And as a little kid, we buy into him, you know, and he would spin something. And I remember looking over at my dad, and he would go, and looking over, and I was like, well, it's too late to save the hats, at least save the watches. That's when it started getting really deep. We did that a lot with Kenneth. But he did, he was always entertaining. And no matter how relentless he might just be teasing you and everything, it was never malicious. He never did something just out of meanness or spite. It was always out of a good time. And many times I heard him talk about his boys. And there's no way you're my kid. No way you're my kid. And Alex, Nick, real little Layton and Reagan, we used to stop quite a bit, going back and forth to Jen's parents' house. And we're stopping there and we're visiting with them, and Alex is running around. Alex. And he comes around, he's like, I need my diaper changed. I need my diaper changed. And so Kenneth gets up, he's like, no, I want Uncle Floyd to do it. I said, you can talk like that. You can do it yourself. And she was like, don't change his diaper. And I'm like, no, I'll be his fun uncle. I'll play with him. I'll go outside and throw a ball and wrestle with it. I said, I'm not changing his diaper. And she was like, change his diaper. So go back in the room. And Alex lays down, shuts down, he sits there. It's like, please, so then I'm trying to get him, like, knock it off. And he goes, I'm gonna heal you. He said, you do that, I'm gonna kill you, and I guarantee you're gonna get more wet. I went out, Scott's diaper changed, I went outside and said, Kenneth, he is your child. No doubt. I'll keep this short. I love my brother. My fondest memories when I was little, he was always there. Kenneth loved music, huge music collection, and I just remember as a little kid just down, and he introduced me to everything. He really loved hard, heavy metal, but he loved everything. And he introduced me to all kinds of this classic country and just comic stuff. And I just sit hours and hours down with him and listening, learn about music, and fully understand the dynamics of being an older brother, middle child, or whatever. I heard the statement when I was on my mission. And anyways, I married an older child, the oldest, and I couldn't realize there's so many things I look back in life and Jim would be like, how do you know that? You know, and where did you hear that? And just so many things. I mean, my brother. He was quite an education to a lot of us. Probably a lot that our parents wish that there's things that probably didn't even know about at such a young age. He was that guy, and he was genuine, and he had the biggest heart of gold. And I'm gonna miss you.
I really hadn't prepared anything. Spent the last 2 weeks trying to think of anything to get up here and say. Something occurred last night. One of the stories, you know, how genuine he was. And several years ago, I was down at his place. He was having feelings about being an older brother. Told me he feels like he failed us as an older brother. As an older brother, supposed to teach you the things to do and not to do. And he felt like he made all the mistakes. And had to remind me that he was a pretty damn good older brother. Some of those mistakes he made, none of us made to do. We've seen where it went, what it did with him, and I have to tell him that, you know, as I made a lot of mistakes, Kenneth did, but there's a lot of them that he showed me I didn't need to. I knew where it was. Up till 2 weeks ago, Kenneth never felt me as an older brother. Just always thought he was going to be there. He was just a phone call away. Jump on the bike and slide down the seat. He's just supposed to be there. I'm sorry, I didn't think I came out of that. Thank you.
And it's cool. Like some of my brothers, I struggled with the last couple of weeks. What I wanted to share. I was talking with my husband and I said, you know, like those few really big memories that are fun stories that I want to share. My relationship with Kenneth was just a million little things. This has been pointed out. Being the oldest, Kenneth was the leader. He learned things first, and he shared what he learned.
not long after Kenneth was born, my parents moved into a house in Emden. It's a little 2-bedroom house. And they lived there for about 9 years and had 6 kids while they lived there. When I moved back to Idaho Falls about 17 years ago, I drove by that house and it is crazy small. I remember being in it, but I don't know how they managed to fit. Actually, I do. Mom and Dad had their bedroom, and the baby was in their room, and everybody else was in the other bedroom. When my parents moved into that house, they got a dog. It was a collie named Rags, and I don't, my earliest memories have that dog. But one of the privileges of being the first, Kenneth was Rags' first child. And Rags had a special relationship with Kenneth. And there's a picture somewhere and a lot of stories when Kenneth was still a toddler. He would hang on the back of Rags, hold onto his tail, and the dog would walk around swinging his tail with Kenneth swinging with him. In the back of that property was a ditch that had emptied into a canal. And Dad used the ditch to irrigate our garden and irrigate our lawn. And we just thought that was the standard way of watering lawn, was to flood it. And if the child hasn't had an opportunity to play in a flooded lawn, they are really missing out. One of the things that Kenneth learned and passed on was how to catch water skippers, because they were always by the gate in the ditch. Our summers were filled, I have no idea how many mason jars Mom would give us, but we would go to the kitchen, we'd get a jar for Mom and go to the canal and we would catch water skippers and then take and give them to Mom. And the next morning we'd start all over. But we never wondered what happened to the water skippers we gave her the day before. They just disappeared. When the summer I turned 7, we moved to Chubbuck. And that house had 4 bedrooms in it, so we felt like we were spread out. Wendy and I had a bedroom that was upstairs, and Kenneth and Travis had a bedroom downstairs. And one of the things that Kenneth learned really quickly was that the screen in the bedroom that Wendy and I shared could come out, which gave us a 3rd exit from the house. Not that we needed a 3rd exit, both doors worked fine, but we also learned somewhere along the way my parents had acquired a metal 55-gallon drum. And it was always stored underneath our bedroom window, so that when we climbed out of the window, we had a safe way of getting down without twisting our ankles. Kenneth taught me a lot of things. We shared a love of reading. He taught me that it was okay to build my own library, which I'm sure my husband's grateful for. Kenneth loved music. When he was, I think about 14, he bought a cassette tape of an REO Speedwagon album. Kenneth was pretty generous. And we played that tape until it wore out. And then he went and bought another one. He had, as has been said, he had a sense of humor. He loved telling jokes. He wasn't always maybe as respectful as he should be about whom he was saying, telling the joke to. He didn't take into account gender or age when he was telling the joke. But he had a great sense of humor. When I was about 15, Kenneth taught me how to play backgammon. He loved playing games. And I have no idea where he learned, but he came home one night and at the time, both of our bedrooms were downstairs, they were right next to each other. He asked me if I wanted to learn. And so we started a nightly ritual where we would play backgammon every night. And he was very patient. He always won until I started learning the game, and then then I started winning some of it. That was just everything. And we did it for about 2 years, every night. It's hard to share the memories because like I said, there were so many little things that he was and that he did. He was a good big brother. Most of the time, he was nice. When he was, I'll share this. So when we lived in Ammon, there were the Layton kids. There's Kenneth and Wendy and me and Travis. Boyd was a baby, and then eventually Kurt was born. Across the street was a bratty little kid named Willie that we did not like playing with. But Grandpa would talk to us about being nice and let Willie play with us until we got mad at him. And next door to us was a house full of teenage girls who had a little brother about a year or two older than Kevin. And looking back, I can feel some compassion for Bruce that I did not have then. Because Bruce was a mean kid. He was just mean. And Kenneth was pretty good to play with until Bruce came over. And Bruce didn't want to play with girls. And he didn't want to play with little kids. And being older than Kenneth, Bruce was more cool to play with than Wendy or Travis or I. So he would kind of follow Bruce's example. But one thing Kenneth said for years, in fact, he said it probably until he turned 12, he repeatedly told everybody that he was going to grow up and be the president of the church we belonged to. And every time he said it, I corrected him and said, no, you're not, because you're too mean and they won't let somebody make you president of the church. I remember Kenneth there's a lot of things. At his core, he was a good person, and he always was. Like I said, my parents had 6 kids. in a short span of time. And I remember one time on a Sunday, we were getting ready for church and I couldn't find my shoes. And so Mom asked Kenneth to help look for them. We finally found them and I couldn't get them on, so he was helping me put my shoes on. And I thought he was gonna twist my ankle off before he got that shoe on. I always felt safe with Kenneth, and I always knew, no matter what, that he would look out for me. He had his struggles, but even when he had his struggles, I never doubted that he would look out for me and for his brothers and sisters. And I agree with them. He was a good big brother. And had a lot of love in him. And now, Kenneth, I'm sure you know that never doubt how much he loved you. He was so proud of the two of you. And I'm sure it's not only me, but whenever he talked to us, whenever he talked to me, whenever he talked to Jeff, and I'm sure all of the rest of us, he would just brag on the two of you. And he was amazed that he would always say, I don't know where they got it from, it wasn't from me. And he was very proud of you. It has been said that the siblings are the first and longest friends. And I agree with that. As we grow, we may not know the biggest secrets, but we always know the earliest secrets. Kenneth,
Really sounds like someone I would like to know. We'll take just a moment here. So a moment of silence to think, to contemplate, to reflect, to weep, to smile, to laugh at his memory. I have just a quick thought here that I would like to read. Maybe that can be part of your thoughts here. It's from the same talk that Rhonda quoted. The only length of life that seems to satisfy the longings of the human heart is life everlasting. We mourn for those loved and lost. Mourning is one of the deepest expressions of pure love. It's a natural response in complete accord with the divine command that thou shalt live together in love, insomuch that thou shalt weep for the loss of them that die. The only way to take sorrow out of death is to take love out of life. And on a happy and actually joyful note, eternal perspective provides peace, as life does not begin with birth, nor does it end with death. Prior to our birth, we dwelled as spirit children with our Father in heaven and eagerly anticipated the possibility of coming to earth and obtaining a physical body. But we regarded the returning home as the best part of that long-awaited trip, just as we do now. Returning from earth to life in our heavenly home requires passage through and not around the doors of death. We were born to die, and we die to live. Here's to me, the most beautiful line of this talk. It says, as seedlings of God, as seedlings of God, we barely blossom on earth. We fully flower in heaven. So whatever goodness, laughter, wonderful traits, characteristics that Kenneth had, those are being enhanced right now. He barely blossomed here. Imagine what he's like fully flowering in heaven. We'll take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. As I said, it's been an honor to be a part of this memorial service and to work together with you. At this time, Floyd Layton will offer the benediction, after which, are there any instructions that need to be given to the congregation here?
If we can just have the pallbearers join us over here at the funeral door.
And if those pallbearers, please join that announcement over here. Also, funeral home folks on this side. And we'll now do that benediction by Floyd.
Our Father in heaven, so grateful for this day, we can meet together and celebrate life. Kenneth, we're thankful for all the memories. The moments that we get to remember and cherish. Thank you for being in our lives. We just have to please be with Alex and Nick. The rest of the family and loved ones. Love you, just pray for light comfort. And yes, we got everybody. Travel safely home and remember this day and always just remember the guy that Kenneth was. Just ask me, help us all just try to be a little like him, always have a smile on our face. That you all just always try to make somebody's life happier, funnier, and bring laughter. Say this in Jesus Christ.